an interview, Carrie?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Kathleen Winn, Winn for Congress, Arizona. Kathleen, for listeners, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Winn, and I'm running for Congress in what's currently the Congressional District 2. It'll be renumbered after the process of the redistricting that's going on in our state. We'll know in January. I think it's going to be 6. It's the southeastern corner of Arizona. It's Mexico, New Mexico are our borders, and the east side of Pima County, and up into just a little bit of Pinell County. So it's 4 different, and possibly Graham and Greenlee. So maybe 5 counties by the time it's done redistricting.
Kathleen, Sheriff Lamb is somebody that you work with.
Yes.
Listeners may know him as the sheriff that's enforcing constitutional rights, is of course the border issue that's going on. Update listeners as to what you understand is happening in this district of yours in regards to the illegal immigration.
Well, so my district is the border, and so what we have is every day we have thousands of people, about 5,000 people a day coming into Arizona, illegal immigrants, children, women, families, from 160 different countries. So this isn't just Mexico, this isn't just Central America. We've seen an increase in Chinese and Russian immigrants coming in, Afghans. So remember, when it happened in Afghanistan, the Taliban opened up all the prisons. So the American soldiers have been putting people in prison for 20 years, and now we have people that got out of prison in Afghanistan coming into our country. So
how do you know this?
I know this through, I work with officers, I work with Border Patrol, I work with county sheriffs like Sheriff Lamb, and so we know that the Border Patrol in our cities that are on the border, I deal with the chiefs of police down there. They tell me, I get a briefing every week because this is my district and you need to know what's going on if you want to represent the people in the district. And we've had an increase of 3,000%. I want people to hear that. I didn't misspeak. 3,000% of sexual predators coming into the country. So we've had an increase of almost 50% of sex crimes, meaning sexual exploitation, rape, sex trafficking, and so our country is not safer. We've also then during the same time had a decrease of prosecutions. So we're not prosecuting as many people. And then we are, on top of that, if you don't get vaccinated, we have law enforcement agencies, not Sheriff Lambs, but we have some law enforcement agencies letting their sheriffs or police officers go. We have people that work in the prisons. If they don't get vaccinated, they're letting prisoners out. So I keep asking the question, who benefits from a week in America? And it's not Americans. So we have to be understanding of what's happening, and we have to support our police, we have to support our military, and we have to understand that we will have 2 million illegal immigrants in this country through not just Arizona's border, but Texas's border by the end of this year.
What is Kathleen, I've been in contact with a couple different organizations that are monitoring the border and trying to enforce legal immigration, or at least return these illegal immigrants back. One of the things that has popped out of my mind, and let me mention this in regards to the child trafficking. There was a gentleman out of Iowa that I spoke with yesterday that monitored an air flight from Long Beach, California to Des Moines that was full of children. Buses picked them up in Iowa and dispersed them to various cities out of Iowa. But the thing that caught my interest here is that airplane is known to have flown out of McAllen, Texas. I understand that's not your jurisdiction, but what I'm threading in here is this, is that there's an organization that has been involved in harboring these illegals, washing them, clothing them, giving them money to start a new life in the United States, and paying for transportation fees. That organization is called Catholic Charities. Does that ring a bell with you? Is there anything going on in regards to, you're smiling right now, do you have comments?
I was raised Catholic, and Catholic Charities does a lot of good work, but their heart for the immigrant is to help these immigrants get wherever they're going. And unfortunately, I don't know if they're being vaccinated. We're told that they're not being vaccinated, so we're having a lot of pressure put on American citizens. But in my district, there's a hotel It's off of Irvington Road where they're coming. Same thing's happening. They're bringing people in. They're washing them up. They're getting them clothes. They're busing them out.
Catholic Charities is, or
I don't know the Catholic Charities involved, but I know.
But it's a charity organization
that is doing this, it's unfortunate because, and I'm not against Catholic Charities. I am against illegal immigration and us as a citizenry not knowing where these people are. We also have children that come in that have phone numbers on their hands, and this government is turning those kids over to their traffickers. Like, these kids are told if they don't say that that's a relative that they're going to, they're threatened, they're coerced. So we know that kids come across and they're trained to say very specific things. This is a relative, and we're turning them over to a trafficker. It costs money to come here. When people come into this country and they've been brought here by the cartels, they have wristbands on there. Like if you go to Disneyland, you get a wristband. Well, these people pay money, and if you don't have a wristband, you're going to be subjected to torture, fees. They leave people in the desert to die. We've had hundreds of bodies of people in the desert. At some point in Texas, one of the sheriffs said to the farmers, don't tell us if you find bodies because we don't have the money to take care of them anymore. This is unsustainable, and we don't have enough officers, and we keep demeaning those people that are supposed to be keeping us safe. Another thing we're doing is we're less than honorably discharging our military. I've had 5 Marine Corps officers contact me in the last month. They were less than honorably discharged, so not dishonorably discharged, but they lose all their benefits because they refused to get vaccinated. They were told they were not battle ready. This is America. They signed up a check for everything. They were willing to give their life for this country. And because they have a religious exemption that was denied them in the military, being told they're not battle ready, we kick them out with no benefits. Does that make us safer, giving everything that we know that's going on in the world in our country? It doesn't. So one of the reasons I'm running for Congress is our state is not safe right now. Open borders doesn't make us safe. People come into my state every day in fatigues with automatic weapons. We've been invaded.
Wait, illegal immigrants are coming armed?
Yes, into the country. Yes, cartel members come in with wearing fatigues, with guns, automatic weapons. Now they go back and forth, they don't shoot anybody, but they just walk into our country. That could happen nowhere else in the world. And the problem is, if you have, when 9/11 happened, we didn't know who was in our country. We didn't know what they were learning. If you've got 2 million unrecognized people in your country, let's just say 50,000 of them are bad. What are they doing to organize? What are we doing to stop them? So I think we need to wake up to the fact that we don't know who's in our country. We don't know what their next plan is. But we as Americans need to secure our border. And we can't do blanket amnesty. And we can't give them voting rights. And we have to do a better job of figuring out who's here and send people back to wherever they came from. Because you don't get to country shop. You don't, we had Haitians coming here, but they were already in Central America. They'd come from Haiti to Central America. They don't get to go from Central America over Mexico into the U.S. They don't get to pick a country, but yet we let them all into our country. So we're not following any of our immigration laws. We're not following the Constitution. We are not following our laws. And we have to do that to keep America safe and keep Americans safe. And so I'm a strong proponent of law enforcement, strong defense. I think I shared with you earlier, my husband spent his whole career in Army aviation. He's best known for his work on the Apache attack helicopter. We need to get a hold of our country and shut this border down. And the open border policies of Joe Biden are simply unconscionable, and they're actually treasonous. If you take an oath to uphold the Constitution, one of the things you need to do is to protect the citizens of this country, and they're not.
Kathleen, why is this happening to the United States? Well, how is it that we have a president that is enforcing and supporting an open border policy? What's the mentality behind that? I'm trying to understand why he would do that. I'm sure he doesn't sleep with his front door unlocked at night. And with that said, I want you to also comment, why did Kamala Harris, why did she go to Guatemala before she went to the Texas border or Arizona border? What are your thoughts on that?
I can't speak for Kamala Harris. When I worked for our Arizona Attorney General when she was the Attorney General in California, and she was not a very good Attorney General back then. So I can't imagine that she improved when she became the vice president. She's been more about getting attention than getting the job done. And I'm really disappointed she's not been to our Arizona border where we have extreme conditions right now, just like Texas. Why did she go to that country? I don't know. Maybe she was trying to negotiate a deal to get them to stay there, but I don't believe that, because if she was successful, we wouldn't have the continuation of all these people coming to our country. I don't even think she went to the border in Texas. I think she went to somewhere outside Dallas. She got to Texas but didn't even go to the border. You had all those people living under the bridge. How do you think that that's good for even them? You know, people were upset about kids in cages. Look at what we're doing to these kids and these people. And we know that children are being raped on their way up here. We know we've had children at the border had no voice because they were sexually assaulted so many times by the cartel members being brought here. That is inhumane. This is such unconscionable and evil behavior. This is pure evil. And as someone who fights sexual exploitation and sex trafficking, it is unconscionable to me that this administration thinks that anything they're doing is in support of this country or the people that they're bringing into this country. We have no regard for these people. They are just bodies we can move in. And you have to ask the question, who benefits from this?
Right.
What are they going to get from this? Are they going to get voters? Are they going to push money out to them? Are they going to tell them? I don't know. I'm not on that side. I'm on the side of the American people.
It sounds almost like there might be some type of a movement to dissolve the culture that has made the United States a beacon of freedom based off those constitutional values that people like Martin Luther King, right, have fought for and established that, certainly for the suppressed African American citizen of the United States from that angle. But it seems right now there is a movement that is aimed at destroying the fabric of the culture of the United States and basically infiltrating it and washing it. What are your thoughts on that? That possibly is this kind of thing going on? And we already know, Kathleen, that groups like the Black Lives Matter movement, Antifa, and we know that BLM is openly funded by George Soros, who's not an American by birth, nothing against him, but he's not an American by birth. So we're assuming perhaps that he doesn't quite understand. I'm assuming that. He doesn't understand what it means to be that type of person. He's openly funding this organization, which is publicly calling for a Cuban-style communist regime in the United States. They want to destroy our flag. They want to destroy our anthem. Is there something going on? Are there other mechanics moving here that you can see at play?
Yes. So unfortunately, this didn't happen yesterday. This didn't happen even 5 or 10 years ago. This has been a systemic change to our country. You have to look at what's happening in education. You have to look at the hypersexualization. You have to look at the destruction of marriage and the full-on attack of Christian values. And we incentivized in this country welfare. We incentivized fathers leaving families. It was better for poor families to have the father divorce the mother and leave and get so that the family could get welfare. We've been aborting babies at epidemic numbers. People need to wake up to the fact that this didn't happen since Biden took presidency. We have been culturally destroying and being destroyed for quite some time. They didn't do this overnight. And now we're to
How long has it been in your view, Kathleen?
I would say 25, 30 years. It's been, now, is it as bad as it is right now? No. But this is like, you've heard the analogy of the frog, right? If you put a frog into hot water, it jumps out. But if you put a frog into cold water and slowly turn up the heat, the frog will die in the water. And we are frogs in the water right now. And if we don't understand that, we have to fight back. That's why you've got parents and school board. They have pushed this beyond reasonable limits. And people are now awake to the fact that our country is not in our control. It really is not. When I look at the things that are happening with sex trafficking, what we know is that the money goes back to China. So we have illicit massage parlors all over our country. And the Chinese are funding our Central American and Mexican cartels. And so they are funding the fentanyl. They are funding human trafficking and sex trafficking and the guns and weapons. So we are not in control of the border, but we're not in control of who is funding and who's benefiting from this. And again, There are people in our government that are getting payoffs. We've seen it. We know about it. The media doesn't talk about it. Hunter Biden. The media doesn't talk about Joe Biden. The media doesn't talk about how people that go into Congress...
When you say media, what do you mean?
The mainstream media.
Like?
CNN, MSNBC, any of those.
Fox News?
Fox has been a big disappointment. Very big disappointment. Thank God that what's-his-face, Wallace, is leaving. We need more of that, though. They sold out.
It seemed like he might be a political plant.
Who?
Wallace.
Yes.
Because it didn't seem like they have the values of Fox News at all. And I don't want to sidetrack you, but I found it interesting that... Never mind. I'm not going to go that route, but I agree with you that some of these sources have been a bit of a disappointment.
I was in the media when I got out of college. I'm a graduate of the University of Arizona. I'm a proud Wildcat. I'm running in Southern Arizona. It's the other college in Arizona, not ASU. Thank you, and I'm proud of that. But when I was in the media, we had to have two sources. We couldn't just go out with our opinion. We weren't opinion news, we were factual news. And it made a difference because you didn't just run with a story just because you felt like it. And we weren't political. The news, we wanted people to decide for themselves. We would present facts and people would decide for themselves, and we were not hyper-politicized. And that's, if you keep people angry, then you can get them to fight.
Divide.
Exactly. And the divide in this country has to be stopped. I will tell you, in fighting sex trafficking, the predators don't give a damn how we vote. And if we don't go after the real enemy here, the real people that are really attacking our country, we're all in grave danger. Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Libertarians, I don't care who you are. We have to understand that they are trying to control the minds and bodies of our children. They are devaluing our children by telling them that their value is being hypersexualized and shaking their booties on TikTok. And they normalize that behavior so that when a child is approached online, that child thinks it's okay to go out and meet with a stranger. And our children are worth so much more than that, and they can contribute so much more, and we are not going to have a future if we do not start to take back some of this land that we've conceded to the liberal, extreme values. Pornography, porn addiction is crazy. There's just so many things that we are needing to kind of put boundaries back in. Kids' brains aren't fully formed until they're 25. Do you really want a 14-year-old and a 24-year-old? Who's going to win that psychological battle? The adult. So there's over 347 missing children in Arizona. And unfortunately, disproportionately Hispanic and black kids. So if there's 10 kids missing, 6 to 7 of them will be children of color. That's a problem. That's a social thing. And we have to be aware that our minorities are at risk. We have to protect them. We don't have to exploit them. And people in Congress from both parties should want that. That's not a Republican or Democrat issue. That's a humanitarian issue. And so I think it's time we send people to Congress that want to get the job done. They want to close our border. They want to make sure we have election integrity. That helps everyone, not just the people in power. But we only need 5 seats to take back Congress. And I'm running in an open seat, and I clearly believe I'm best qualified for this seat. And I would love the opportunity to serve the Southern District of Arizona. And I'm willing to do what it takes. And I have served my state for many years, from homelessness to veterans and veterans courts, to prescription drug boxes, to fighting sex trafficking, to serving on one of the largest community college boards, where we just fought recently in court to overturn a vaccine mandate on our nursing students, and won in federal court. So 75 of our nursing students did not have to get vaccinated, and they represented 6,000 nursing students in the state of Arizona. Wherever there's a fight, I'm willing to go to that fight. I'm willing to fight. We may not always win, but I am willing to leave it all on the battlefield. I'm the proud daughter of a U.S. Marine, and I am happy to say that my husband was a veteran, my son was a veteran, my grandfather. And I think I shared this with you earlier. My husband's great-great-grandfather is James Wilson. He signed the Declaration of Independence, and he was one of 6 people who drafted the Constitution, and he served on the first Supreme Court appointed by George Washington. So this is personal. This is our family legacy. I'm willing to fight for it so that my grandchildren know what a great nation this is, founded under God with Christian beliefs, and I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Thank you.
Kathleen Winn.
Win.
Thank you very much for joining the program.
Arizona needs a win.